With me here in Westminster is Justin Fisher. He's Professor of Politics at Brunel University. And joined us from New York, Angela McGlowan. Thank you both for being with us. Angela, it obviously works in America, attack ads.
It does work in America, but Adam, this is nothing new. Back when LBJ was running against Goldwater, LBJ did a Daisy ad. And all he did was a countdown and saying in essence that if you elect Goldwater, we're going to go to war. So it's nothing new in America. Is it the right type of politics? No, but does it work? Yes, it does.
And on the scale of good attacks, what do you think of calling someone a backstabber?
The bottom line is this. I'm not for negative campaigning. What I'm for is people actually knowing the facts. So whether it's a backstabber or calling President Obama a Muslim, and then you had some people saying that he wasn't even born in America. You see that President Obama won against Mitt Romney, so apparently some people don't really believe in that. But if you can define your opponent before your opponent defines himself, then you will have a victory.
I mean, that is interesting about this charge, isn't it, Professor Fisher? Because everyone knows the story of the Miliband's. It's one of the few things people do know about Ed Miliband. Yet the Times has got a poll for YouGov, which is just out, and it shows that 64% think it was perfectly reasonable for Ed Miliband to run against his brother. So both dirty tactics and possibly not very effective.
Well, no, not very effective at all, I think. It seems to be a bit of an own goal for the Conservatives. The issue in question of Trident, it's a perfectly reasonable one to raise and draw blue water between the parties. But by calling another politician a backstabber, it may go down well in the United States, but I think the evidence we have in this country is that it can be counterproductive.
Of course, some people might say that if you want to be a successful politician, Angela, you've got to be quite nasty, capable of stabbing the odd back.
Well, you're talking to a lady that ran for office in Mississippi for Congress, and I did not do negative campaigning. Actually, I told the truth about my opponent. My opponent outraised me $500,000, and you see I'm not in Congress. I'm actually a political analyst. Unfortunately, mudslinging here in America works, but not only that, it's whoever can raise the most money. Because if you can raise a lot of money, Adam, then you can pay for commercial time and also grassroots campaign and get out the vote campaigns.
Well, that's an interesting point, because in this campaign, we know that the Conservatives have more money than any of the other parties. And we also know, while it's restricted what they can spend on what they can say on television, what they can say on billboards, we are seeing a lot of graphics online being tweeted around and sent around, some of them with official, from all the parties, but particularly the Conservatives.
Absolutely. The interesting thing is that has really developed this election. Whether or not it makes a difference remains to be seen. Our analysis of the last campaign, for example, showed that although the Conservatives had a significant financial advantage, both at constituency level and at national level, Labour and the Liberal Democrats' grassroots campaigning had more effect on the amount of seats that they won. So all of those things help, but our evidence to date suggests that voters respond better to the traditional doorstep-style campaigning.
And of course, Labour are talking about these 4 million conversations and say they're having more of those than the Conservatives. What about Labour saying that they're not going to use pictures of their opponents in their advertisements? Do you get any points for being high-minded or claiming to be high-minded?
Well, I think you can be high-minded, or at least claim to be high-minded. It wouldn't surprise me if they did have pictures of other politicians, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, the Liberal Democrats, for example, in 2005, made a great play of showing lots of pictures of Tony Blair because it tended to boost their polling, particularly around the issue of Iraq. I think what's different about this is that it's a personal attack on an individual, which, as we saw in 2005 when Michael Howard called Tony Blair a liar, that tends to go down badly with the electorate.
Do you think, Angela, that people tend to go negative when they haven't got much positive to say?
I think that it's both sides, whether you have something positive to say when you're actually debating in the primary process here in America or when you're running in the real general election. But you were talking about your labor organizations there. Here in America, labor organizations give a lot of money to politicians to help them run negative ads. It's on both sides. You have conservatives that also raise a lot of money to run negative ads. So here in America, it's a bit different than there. The only thing that I can say that's equal is when you have the cash, you can get your message out clearer.
And as a conservative American, do you think that the United States is bothered one way or another whether Britain renews its nuclear deterrent, which of course would be primarily supplied by America?
Listen, the thing is this, as a conservative, I'm about the issues, I'm about less government, and I'm not for negative campaigning. So I'm hopeful in this election next year, 2016, which I think that Jeb Bush is going to be the nominee on the Republican side and Hillary Clinton is going to be the nominee on the Democratic side, that we can have a clean campaign, unlike we had in 2012.
Do you think we should keep a nuclear weapon, a nuclear deterrent in this country?
Say again?
Should we keep nuclear weapons in this country? This is what sparked off this row.
Yes, 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 and yes. The bottom line is you need to protect your homeland, because if you can't protect your homeland, you won't have a homeland to live in. So yes, we should keep nuclear weapons.
Are people worried, do you think, about the nuclear deterrent? I mean, the polls are fairly divided, aren't they?
It's not an issue that tends to be at the top of people's concerns. Those are usually bread and butter issues like the economy, like education, like health. But this sort of thing will matter to people. It mattered in '87, for example, when the Conservatives majored on Labour's nuclear policy, which would seem to be a vote loser for Labour back then.
And, Angela, OK, you've got a strong view on the nuclear deterrent. Do you have a strong view on our election? Are you bothered who wins this election?
Look, all I can say is this. People just need to get out and they need to vote their conscience. They need to vote for who they think is the best. And I wish, in a way, we were more like you guys here in America, because a lot of times people make misinformed decisions when they go to the polls on television commercials, on the media, instead of reading and finding about the candidate themselves.
OK, thank you both very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.